Options did not blow up your account. You did. And I can prove it to you in the next 10 minutes. Now, we've all heard the phrase that 90% of traders fail. Well, maybe it's 85%, maybe it's 95%. Regardless, a very high number of traders fail versus those that succeed consistently in trading. And it's not because options are risky. Let's talk about the real reasons. The tool isn't the problem. A scalpel isn't reckless in a surgeon's hand and safe in a toddler's because the scalpel changed, right? It's the same tool. Trading failure is behavioral, okay? It's not instrumental. It's not the strategy. It's not the tool. It's not the vehicle of options. It's the user, okay? Guns aren't dangerous. People who use guns are dangerous, right? The same option pros that use options to define risk, to limit risk, to hedge risk are the same options that beginners use and they blame for blowing up their account. The difference is the hand that's holding the tool. It's not the actual tool. The real 4 reasons are: number 1, position sizing; number 2, no system; number 3, psychology; and number 4, impatience. Let's talk about position sizing first. This is the silent killer, okay? You can be right 60% of the time. You can be right 80% of the time. I've seen traders with a 90% win rate that didn't make money, okay? You can still go broke. Win rate is not the issue. It's the position size, and it's the size of the winners versus the size of the losers. A few oversized losers can erase a long string of small winners. The damage is done at entry, not at your stop loss, not because you held the trade. It's done at order entry based on your position size, okay? Most blowups trace back to one decision, and that's betting too big. It has nothing to do with because you're trading options. It has nothing to do with your strategy. It was that you position size too big. You have to decide what your max loss is before you click the buy button. Then let it set your size, okay? Your position size sets your size. Risk is managed at order entry. Have I mentioned that before? Risk is managed at order entry. If you survive the bad days, then the good days, they end up taking care of themselves. I've seen it over and over and over. Number 2, no system. If you trade without a system, you have no defined edge, no repeatable setup. Every trade is a fresh improvisation. Without rules, you can't tell a mistake from bad luck, okay? You can do everything wrong and still have a winning trade. You can do everything right and still have a losing trade, okay? So it's the consistency of the rules that makes the real difference. I had a person send me a direct message the other day in my Discord, and he started asking if I had any stock tips for him. And he said, I'll read it verbatim, "I need a stock that I can safely buy $1 million to $4 million worth. Do you have any ideas? Do you have any thoughts?" And my response was, so let me get this straight. If I give you a stock pick, you'd purchase over $1 million worth of it? I said, that's called gambling, okay? You have to learn to be strategic and use probabilities in your trading. Copying other people's trades, taking stock picks off people on Twitter, all these things, you might get lucky once, you might get lucky twice. You will never be a consistent trader. There is no one who's ever been a consistently profitable trader in the history of the market by copying somebody else's trades. You have to develop your own system. You can copy somebody else's system, and then eventually you're going to tweak and manage it and make it your own, but you can't copy somebody else's trades. You have to have a system with rules and methodologies. Number 3, psychology beats strategy every day. Cutting winners early out of fear doesn't work. Sizing up after a hot streak doesn't work. Revenge trading a loss or freezing on the entry, all of these things are the mental side of trading. This is all psychology. Again, it has nothing to do with the strategy. It has nothing to do with your whether you're trading stocks or options or futures. It's about the mental side of getting your mind right in your trading. It has nothing to do with the vehicle. And then number 4, patience. I've found myself in this situation many times throughout my career. Over trading, right? You start forcing trades to feel active. I have to fight this sometimes. I'll come into the day and I'm thinking, especially after a long weekend, this is something that tends to creep in, but I've become very aware of it now. And that is, I come in, I'm anxious to trade because the market's been closed for a few days. And subconsciously, I'm telling myself, well, I'm a trader. So the market's now open, I have to trade. But that's the wrong way to think about it. The edge is actually sitting on your hands and waiting for that A+ setup. Sitting on your hands is one of the toughest trades to take, and sitting on your hands can be one of the most profitable things you do in your trading. The other thing is quitting too early. I see people come in and it's just like, it's the whole get rich quick mentality. It's the lottery mentality. They want to come in and get lucky and hit a few winners and go take that money and sit on a beach and drink cocktails the rest of their life. Yeah. I mean, people win the lottery, so could happen, I guess. But do you really think that that's a way to make consistent profits? And I see so often that people don't even give themselves a chance at profitability. They come in and they lose and they're out. They quit. They start blaming it on options are risky. And when they really were actually very close to getting to that point, they just had to put in a little bit more effort, a little bit more consistency, and get to that point to where they could have those rules, build that psychology, build the skill set to be a consistently profitable trader. Trading is a skill set. The cool part is it's really hard to build that skill set, but the great thing is once you've built it, you can't unlearn it. Once you've built that skill set, you cannot unlearn it. And so it just becomes this perpetual thing. Have you ever seen a trader who, you've seen the ones that just struggle, they break even, lose money, make a little, give it back. It just seems like a constant struggle, right? And then you see those other traders who it just seems like money pours into their account effortlessly. The difference is very small. They're both extremely knowledgeable about the markets. They're both extremely knowledgeable about their strategy. They know the rules. There's just a small difference between the one who is able to have money pour into their account with ease and the one who's break-even trader. Sometimes it's just a little tiny tweak. Just a little tiny tweak. It's not a massive overhaul. It's not moving from options to futures to stocks to crypto. It's not about changing strategies. It's about looking internally and figuring out what is that one little thing that I could tweak that's going to up-level my trading. The good news is every one of these four is learnable. Nobody's born, I shouldn't say nobody. There are some people who appear as if they're just a natural for when it comes to trading, right? But the vast majority of us, the consistently profitable trading goes against every human nature, natural tendency that we have. And so we have to really work at it. But the good news is that each of these things is learnable. The market isn't rigged against you. You just haven't treated trading like a skill yet with the rules, the risk limits, the mental side, the discipline. You can do this, but you have to put in the effort. If you're not willing to put in the effort, if you don't treat trading like a profession and you treat it like a hobby, the market is going to pay you like a hobby. And last time I checked, all of my hobbies cost me money. Professions make you money. Which one are you going to treat it like? If you've been looking at becoming a successful trader and you want to get on track, that's what our community at Navigation Trading does. Check us out, navigationtrading.com, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.